This is Land of Havilah, Joshua chapter 17. When Moses was still alive, he allotted some land to Manasseh east of the Jordan. Now in this chapter, Joshua will allot more land to Manasseh west of the Jordan. Verse 1. This was the lot for the tribe of Manasseh, for he was the firstborn of Joseph. As for Machir, the firstborn of Manasseh, the father of Gilead, because he was a man of war, therefore he had Gilead and Bashan. Comment: When Moses was still alive, a certain Manassite named Jair, or his descendants, it's hard to say, Jair and or his descendants, they were particularly valiant in war east of the river against the Amorite king Og. They were largely, if not solely, responsible for capturing Gilead and all Bashan from King Og, Numbers 32:41, Deuteronomy 3:14, and Joshua 13:30. Therefore Moses gave Jair and his descendants, all of them being Manassites, he gave them that area as the spoils of war, Numbers 32:40. Moses called that area and the people in it the half-tribe of Manasseh, Numbers 32:33. All that was east of the Jordan, and now the tribe of Manasseh will get more land west of the Jordan. They'll be the only tribe with land on the east and west. Verse 2. So this was for the rest of the children of Manasseh according to their families, for the children of Abiezer, for the children of Helek, for the children of Asriel, for the children of Shechem, for the children of Hepher, and for the children of Shemitah. These were the male children of Manasseh, the son of Joseph, according to their families. Comment: It says those were the children of Manasseh, but as we would say it in English, they were actually his great-grandsons, Numbers 26:30. All of them are now passed away, Joshua 17:3 and Numbers 27:3. Joshua distributed the land to the living Manassites based on which of these great-grandsons they came from. The great-grandson Gilead's family was left out of the distribution on the west because they got their land on the east. Now coming up, there's a special case of Zelophehad, who was a certain Manassite who passed away in the desert. He had 5 daughters who are still alive, but no sons, Numbers 26:33. Verse 3. But Zelophehad, the son of Hepher, the son of Gilead, the son of Machir, the son of Manasseh, had no sons but daughters. These are the names of his daughters: Mahlah, Noah, Hoglah, Milcah, and Tirzah. They came to Eleazar the priest and to Joshua the son of Nun and to the princes, saying, Yahweh commanded Moses to give us an inheritance among our brothers. Therefore, according to the commandment of Yahweh, he gave them an inheritance among the brothers of their father. Comment: This story goes back to Numbers chapters 27 and 36. Zelophehad's 5 daughters were all unmarried and they had no close male relatives. They realized beforehand that once they got to the promised land, they wouldn't have any means of supporting themselves because as females they wouldn't get any land. So they approached Moses to obtain some women's rights, so to speak. And by special command of Yahweh, Moses promised they would get land of their own, and furthermore, Yahweh commanded that the laws of inheritance be changed so that thereafter women with no brothers were entitled to an inheritance, Numbers 27:8. Verse 5. 10 parts fell to Manasseh in addition to the land of Gilead and Bashan, which is beyond the Jordan, because the daughters of Manasseh had an inheritance among his sons. The land of Gilead belonged to the rest of the sons of Manasseh. Comment: This was the fulfillment of Yahweh's word to the 5 daughters, Numbers 27:7. They got their land as promised. Now coming up, the delineation of Manasseh's borders west of the Jordan. Verse 7. The border of Manasseh was from Asher to Michmethath, which is before Shechem. The border went along to the right hand to the inhabitants of En-Tappuah. The land of Tappuah belonged to Manasseh, but Tappuah on the border of Manasseh belonged to the children of Ephraim. The border went down to the brook of Kanah southward of the brook. These cities belonged to Ephraim among the cities of Manasseh. The border of Manasseh was on the north side of the brook and ended at the sea. Southward it was Ephraim's, and northward it was Manasseh's, and the sea was his border. They reached to Asher on the north and to Issachar on the east. Comment: The border which separated Manasseh from the surrounding tribes went through those points. Now coming up, just like Ephraim got certain locations that were actually within the borders of Manasseh, Manasseh will get certain locations that were actually within the borders of Asher and Issachar. Verse 11. Manasseh had 3 heights in Issachar. In Asher, Beth-shean and its towns, and Ibleam and its towns, and the inhabitants of Dor and its towns, and the inhabitants of Endor and its towns, and the inhabitants of Taanach and its towns, and the inhabitants of Megiddo and its towns. Yet the children of Manasseh couldn't drive out the inhabitants of those cities, but the Canaanites would dwell in that land. When the children of Israel had grown strong, they put the Canaanites to forced labor and didn't utterly drive them out. Comment. So we see that things aren't as cut and dried as they look on a map. The locations within Asher and Issachar that were assigned to Manasseh are in fact ruled by Canaanites for now, so the situation's a little complicated. Now coming up, Manasseh isn't entirely happy. Verse 14. The children of Joseph spoke to Joshua, saying, Why have you given me just one lot and one part for an inheritance, since we are a numerous people, because Yahweh has blessed us so far? Joshua said to them, If you are a numerous people, go up to the forest and clear land for yourself there in the land of the Perizzites and of the Rephaim, since the hill country of Ephraim is too narrow for you. Comment. Joshua says, if you're not happy with the amount of land you have, it's because you haven't driven out the Canaanites, so drive them out. Verse 16. The children of Joseph said, The hill country is not enough for us. All the Canaanites who dwell in the land of the valley have chariots of iron, both those who are in Beth-shean and its towns, and those who are in the valley of Jezreel. Comment. This is a lack of faith. The chariots shouldn't make any difference. Yahweh specifically said, quote, When you go out to battle against your enemies and see horses, chariots, and a people more than you, you shall not be afraid of them, for Yahweh your God is with you, who brought you up out of the land of Egypt. Deuteronomy 20, verse 1. So coming up, Joshua is not sympathetic with them. Verse 17. Joshua spoke to the house of Joseph, that is, to Ephraim and to Manasseh, saying, You are a numerous people, and have great power. You shall not have one lot only, but the hill country shall be yours. Although it is a forest, you shall cut it down, and its farthest extent shall be yours. For you shall drive out the Canaanites, though they have chariots of iron, and though they are strong. Comment. Joshua says to Ephraim and Manasseh, If the land's too small for you, because there are so many of you, well, since there are so many of you, you shouldn't have any trouble defeating the Canaanites. Joshua says this is a case where God will help those who help themselves. So put a spear in your hand and get to work. That expression, God helps those who help themselves, isn't in the Bible anywhere exactly like that, but that's the advice Joshua is giving Manasseh and Ephraim in this case. That's the chapter. Joshua 18 is next at landofhavilah.net. Joshua 18. This is the map of Joshua 17. This is the map of the tribes in the time of Joshua. Manasseh already had this land east of the Jordan, which is called the half-tribe of Manasseh. Now Joshua is giving them more land west of the Jordan. Some of the border locations mentioned in this chapter are not identifiable, therefore there's some guesswork involved in the making of this map. North of Manasseh will be Asher, Zebulun, and Issachar. Across the river, the half-tribe of Manasseh, and Ephraim to the south. Switching to the Google map, all the cities in verse 11 that had Canaanites in them and around them are well identified. Beth-shean, Ibleam, Dor, Endor, Taanach, and Megiddo. Other well-identified locations from this chapter are Shechem, En Tappuah, and the brook Kana. Joshua 18 is next.